I've drunk a lot of wine in my days. Some good and actually some not so good. I remember about a decade ago, I had a really nice Pinot Noir from the Loire Valley. Oh, that's in France. It was about $7,600 per bottle. That memory triggered something in me. It made me think about how we strive. We all strive for the best, for the good life. Stick with me through this particular episode as we reflect on what good wine has to teach us about our culture and the good life. Hey there, Posse. I'm Pierre Asti, sommelier and founder of Asti Wine Consultants. Welcome to my live series where we parallel various components of the wine industry to important aspects of our everyday life. Today we're talking about the good life. Well, actually, I like to refer to this topic as cultural craziness. I think you'll see why. As we unpack this, if this somehow resonates with you, I'd appreciate you letting me know in the comments below, or click subscribe and ring the little bell to be notified every time I post a new video. Oh, and also, please consider sharing this with a friend. Okay, so why are we talking about the good life? Well, actually, it's pretty simple. We all have an innate desire for what's good. Don't you prefer a good wine over a bad wine? I know I do. I mean, that $7,600 bottle I referred to earlier may be pushing it, but there's something exciting about opening a high quality vintage from my wine cellar to celebrate a special occasion. Good wine just makes us feel good. But let's go a little bit further. I think this desire for good goes beyond drinking good wine or owning good things. You see, this desire, this quest for what is good is hardwired into us. Now, more on that in a moment, but first, what do you think it means to live the good life? Why do we each have this desire for what's good? Now, from my observation, as a people, we seek the good life through many different avenues. Validation from others, upgrading our homes, success at work, travel, new, more romantic relationships, hopefully with more passion. Many of us chase a form of the good life which is known internationally as the American dream. I checked online in the Merriam-Webster dictionary and it said, the good life is the kind of life that people with a lot of money are able to create, having the resources to build a happy and enjoyable life. Our culture has a tendency to take good things, money, health, comfort, and make them the ultimate thing. If we don't have a ton of money, then we can't be satisfied. If my health fails, then my joy will fail. If my relationship doesn't fulfill me anymore, then it's not worth it. Many of us have attached our joy to ever-changing circumstances. What the American dream trains us to do is be dependent on favorable circumstances to continue in order to be happy and content. Pair this constant dependency on things going well with the unpredictability of life, and we end up with an increased rate of discouragement, anxiety, depression. You got to ask yourself, is there a better way? Now, Pascal, the French scientist and philosopher, said, there is a God-shaped vacuum in the heart of each man. We are created with a desire to be fulfilled in those things that are self-evident and ordained by our Creator. But instead of seeking after these things, we find our purpose and identity through the things that are immediately in front of our eyes. I think it's important to note that a life of faith is not anti-pleasure. The good book includes several accounts of the people of God enjoying the fruits of the vine and feasting. There are week-long weddings and joyful dances. People gather to celebrate the harvest or just to remember days gone by. Pleasure is welcome in the family of faith. However, pleasure is not what it means to live the good life. Back in August 2013, Time magazine had a cover story entitled "The Child-Free Life." As you can see, on the cover was a picture of a man and a woman lying on the beach in absolute comfort, luxury, contentment, well-rested, and just loving life. It didn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that the pleasurable life is the thing when people talk about the good life. Entertainment, comfort, vacations, pain-free life, and the fascinating thing is our nation has historically unprecedented levels of affluence. Even so, the sad reality reflects the disparity and inequality that still exists. Now, we can hop on a flight to Florence, Italy this evening, have a toothache fixed fairly easily, watch 15 hours a day of Netflix. For dinner tonight, we can get a burger, a burrito, filet mignon, pasta primavera, salmon on the grill. Is my wine tonight going to be a 2005 or 2015? Our lives are unbelievably more comfortable and pleasurable than anyone's life in the 1600s. And yet, the odd thing is, despite the level of pleasure and comfort, we have seen an exponential growth in depression, anxiety, and discontentment. No amount of entertainment, comfort, and good food can satisfy. Now, a spiritual life, a life of faith, invites us into a life where we rightly enjoy pleasure, but pleasure does not rule us. Similarly, the good life is not the successful life. However, a spiritual life, a faith-based life, is not anti-success. So there's this guy, we'll just call him Ben. In high school and college, he had a lot of success in sports. His identity was wrapped up in his athletic success. Now, eventually, due to an injury, he was forced into becoming like a couch potato like me. He began to wrestle with what his identity was based on. Now, after college, he entered the rat race and rapidly climbed the corporate ladder. He was making great money, paying more in taxes quarterly than he had dreamed of making in an entire year. Cars, condos overlooking the water, vacation homes, all the comforts that come with a lot of excess money. Now, during those years where he was making boatloads of money, he had a gnawing sense that it wasn't fulfilling. It wasn't enough. When he got married, he wanted his family life to be successful and have a rich marriage, healthy relationship with his kids one day. But as so often happens in marriage, life didn't go according to plan, and an extremely difficult season in brokenness in his family life set in, and his family life sure didn't feel successful. Ben kept striving to secure the good life by attaining a successful life. At every step along the way, even as he experienced incredible success in most areas of life, he found eventually that it wasn't enough. Reflecting on his lack of fulfillment, Ben put it this way: "You could break my life up into two chapters at this point in my life: striving and achieving. The problem is, when I had achieved all my goals and gotten to the top of the mountain, I looked around and it wasn't enough. Once you achieve all your goals, what do you do next?" Now, some of you may be saying to yourself, "I know that pleasure example." Or maybe some of you may be saying, "I can't even imagine those first world problems, making a lot of money and achieving all my goals. Are you kidding me? Buck up, Buttercup. I'm struggling to keep peanut butter and jelly sandwiches on the table for my kids' dinner." To you, I say, hold on a second. Maybe this next part will speak to you. Next up, the life of faith is not opposed to a life of purpose and intentionality. Faith is not at odds with finding fulfilling work and an enticing family life, having a meaningful career, fighting against injustice, or protecting the environment. We should care about many different causes, but here's where things get sort of messy. We tend to take whatever it is that we care about, whatever our causes are, our investment is, and we elevate that above all else. There's this guy, David Brooks, who's a cultural commentator for the New York Times. Brooks has identified a number of lies that we believe that leads to brokenness. Those lies revolve around, I can be self-sufficient, I just need me. I can make myself happy. I decide what is good and pleasurable for me. No authority over me can tell me virtually anything. Life is an individual journey. You're a rugged individual. You're the captain of your own ship. You can have your own journey towards personal fulfillment. You have to find your own truth. As long as you don't harm anyone else, no one can tell you what is right or wrong. You decide what is right, beautiful, good, and true. You define your own morality. You are what you accomplish and what brand you attach yourself to. People who make more are worth more. If you accomplish, produce, do more with your life, you are worth more. There's chaos in our culture because we have believed what is false. This is what's fascinating. Our culture has given itself to these different pursuits. We have increasingly found that we don't meet the deepest longings of our soul. Again, it was Blaise Pascal, the French mathematician, scientist, inventor, and philosopher, who said, "There is a God-shaped vacuum in the heart of each man which cannot be satisfied by any created thing but only by God the Creator, made known through Jesus Christ." In the good book, this guy named John talked about spiritual things. He talked about there being evil in the world and good in the world. He says of evil, the thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. And then he quotes Jesus, who says, "I came that you might have life and have it abundantly." Now this is where it gets kind of tricky. If you're not thinking spiritually, you might think, sign me up. The abundant life, a full bank account, healthy body, and happy relationships. If we slow down just a minute, long enough to consider what Jesus said and meant, we realize that the abundant life is a bit different than what we normally think of as the American dream. The abundant life has to do with redefining what is truly good and good for us. Now, I'm going to share more about this in part 2 of this video series. We'll dive a little bit deeper into what I mean here. For now, let me wrap this up with this. I encourage you to reflect on your definition of the good life and then also that quote from Pascal. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'm not trying to pretend that I mastered anything, but I have some incredible personal encounters with the one that can fill that particular vacuum. And it changed everything. Hey Posse, thanks so much for investing the time to watch this video. I trust it was helpful to you. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. And please consider hitting subscribe. Also, click here to check out our new online shop. We have a great lineup of wine-related items that will help you get the most out of your wine experience. Oh, and be sure to check out these other videos. Until next time, cheers.